Exactly
Well, my family history is apparently we're notorious cow thieves.
Really?
So yeah, we've always been involved in beef, and
Oh, that's cool. Right, there's the commercial right there, Kels. All right.
KELA podcast. KELAofficial.com.
THTC, the UK's leading ethical streetwear label. Organically grown and ethically built garments from hemp, organic cotton, and other sustainable materials. 2019 is their 20th anniversary year. Join me with THTC as a KELA podcast sponsor celebrating music, social activism, hemp, and street culture. THTC, eco-fashion redefined since 1999. Beatbox created. And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
KELA podcast.
Big shout to our sponsors, Graffiti Kings. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the KELA podcast. Welcome to the KELA Dome. Subscribe, follow on all podcast platforms. Do not sleep, I repeat, do not sleep on it, all right? Central London or as central as you need to be. And I've got a friend of mine that's passed through, an extremely talented geezer. And yeah, if you haven't come across his stuff online, then you clearly ain't been looking in the right places. He's creative designer, caster, creator, molder, sculpture, toys, art exhibitions, and more. It's Ryca.
How you doing, man?
How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Was that a good description?
Yeah,
of
maybe you sound like you need to check me out on Checker Trade or something. Yeah, is he a cowboy builder or is he a master of all trades or something? I don't know.
Look, yeah, but it's still in the same. This is the thing. There's a real brand emphasis, and I think that's what's really important when it comes to having all these different things that you do, right?
Yeah, I mean, that thing of being referred to as a brand, it's not something I set out to do. I still find it a bit strange that you're sort of branded, and I'm sort of guilty of it because I branded myself. So yeah, I can't really moan about the burn.
yeah. Ouch, that hurt me. Sorry, me.
Yeah, it's like, fuck. Oh, why's that there?
Yeah. Oh shit, it was me. Yeah.
I guess I mean that was the Ryca brand, if we're going to call it that. That was accidental. That is older than my art persona.
Really?
Comes from music.
Yeah, it comes from
failure. It's born in failure.
Elaborate and fail. I've got a feeling you were probably a starving artist at one point, making production or something.
I'm definitely not starving anymore.
No, you're not. You were balling, baby. But I think with every kind of, like you say, fail, that incentivizes you to do better, right? That's the deal.
I mean, a brief history of the Ryca name comes from. I heard a story about how MC Creed from Garage got his name, and his name's Chris Reed. So I just was like, R-Y, Ryan, C-A, Callanan. I'll just make Ryca. It sounds cooler than this long-winded Irish name.
What's your Irish name?
Callanan.
Callanan, wow.
Yeah, it's a weird spelling. There's no H's or G's, and it's all from the west of Ireland.
I've seen your kind of Irish surnames. I know exactly.
Well, my family history is apparently we're notorious cow thieves.
Really?
So we've always been involved in beef, and
oh, that's cool. Right, there's the commercial right there, Kels. All right, so remember the chop right there. That's fuego. Love it. So in essence, it's like you're because I'm trying to think now. Like, have you done any pieces? Because I'm a big fan. Have you done any pieces that does involve association to your surname? You probably ain't, have you? No cow-related, beef-related things.
No, because it's just the way art works and the way the internet is. Shit needs to be immediate.
Yeah.
No one wants, unless you're a conceptual artist, which the more I'm involved in art, the longer I'm in it, the more I have conceptual ideas that don't feel like I'm straying from the path that I was interested in. But and the more I appreciate conceptual art, which is what I fucking detested at the beginning, and what I still don't like most conceptual art. I don't want to go into a gallery and feel like I'm the dumbest one in the room.
That's right.
I want that Banksy instantaneous joke. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied. Everything's fine, funny. and I can go about my day with.
It is insane, bro.
Yeah.
Just reversing back a little bit. So, were you ever doing music? Did you ever do music?
I was. I've got a big vinyl collection. Tried to be a DJ. I could mix, but I wasn't great. So it was more a hobby. I played a few club nights that my friends put on in East London. It was pretty shit. I was pretty bad. I used to do a bit of drum and bass MCing as a joke, but I was like a freestyler, and you quickly realise that
This ain't working out. Yeah.
yeah, there's just you're never going to be fucking MC Det, and that was the guy. I was like, not the he's just that thing of like he's got the hooks. He's had the same hooks, and he's a slow evolving creature, but he's the fucking, for me, he's like the hype of drum and bass. It was like you go there and you're like,
bro,
Det would just smash the place to
I had
part.
Skib around here.
Oh my god, yeah, same SAS, like that whole thing.
The
Like,
whole, I had him and Harry here, and I was just fire, bro. Like, and you know what? Here's the interesting thing about these guys is not only do they derive their influences from other places, which you would never ever expect. Like Skip is like a fully accomplished like pianist.
no way.
For real. He plays piano.
Oh fuck.
He's just, I mean, this is the thing. He's taken the creative model of, and this is going to sound really harsh, but it's not. I think with popular culture, the bar does lower just by default because things just get easier. You know what I mean? It's like with technology, with creative output, people's attention spans, it just gets easier to create the more, the later down the line you get in pop culture. So I know, what I'm getting at is his creative bar to do drum and bass was lower than the creative expectation of playing a piano.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's if you can, I respect anyone who can play an instrument because I can't.
Yeah.
And I don't have the attention span to learn it. I tried to learn drums. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like I guess I don't know if I'm probably on the. I think everyone's on like an ADHD spectrum at somewhere.
So true.
But it's funny because I've listened to a few of the more arty guests you've had on, and just even the Shock one, I was like, he was saying how he has to focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the opposite. If I try and do one thing, I'm gonna have to shut up shop.
Really?
Yeah, I have to be like.
Oh shit.
I'm working on always, and it was
A load of things at once.
like millions of things. Like I've got like stuff that I started 4 years ago that I've not finished, but they're progressing. So there's like I see it as like a multi-animaled Noah's Ark race. So there's snails racing against cheetahs. So some of these things they go bang.
So dope. Okay.
There's an idea, and that goes boom, done, and it's out because I don't know. It just had more. I don't know what that is. And then some of these things they're just like them slow burners, and they're coming through, and some of them crash and burn, which is good. I mean, like self editing. I guess that's like the toughest thing because
is that a term for something? Self-editing?
yeah,
What do you mean?
like my output is it's the same as a musician. Like you could make a track, you listen to it back a few times. You're not just going to go, oh, I finished this, bang, there it is on for everyone to listen to and critique. You've got to go, wait a minute, I've got to get out of my zone. It's not even third person. You're in a fourth person imaginary audience point of view of how, and then there's also like the fifth perspective, which is longevity. How does this stand up over time?
That's cool. This is deep. So okay, because here's the thing with podcasting and a lot in terms of music. I've evaluated like how this, like you say, there's got to be the removal of your creative self and the preciousness of you owning that you've got to give it to the people. They then own it.
Yep.
They then create their perception of you, and therefore it sticks. The deviation of you outside of what they perceive you as, it's like when you start doing something, whether it be the smiley face, the biggie, look, you just got to be able to not lead people into their own interpretation of you. You've got to make a standout point of this is what I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or else it could go down that road where you're not in control of that.
See, I'm not obsessed with that so much. I'm
Really?
like, yeah, I do. Some pieces I'm like, no, there's a clear like agenda and a message, and my point is here. This is the vehicle that I'm sending out. But then some stuff is more like ambiguous than that, and that's fine.
And your audience can kind of grasp that.
I don't know.
Do you think it's the medium that you work on?
I think because I work in, I just see myself as a sort of. It's either you're either a chef, like the metaphor is I'm a chef, or I'm a DJ, or I'm a bit of both. And you know, like the best DJs are splicing everything you can buy together to make something new, but they blow your mind because you're just like, I've never heard it presented
that's
that
sick.
way.
I like that analogy. Yeah.
And a chef's the same. Like I can go and buy some fucking carrots and couscous, but I can't throw it together like a Michelin star chef could. So it's the same shit. It's like all them ingredients are there. Like that's what for me. Like
That's
my
pop
pop
culture.
culture
Yeah.
ingredients are already there.
This
They're
is
already,
sick.
They're everybody's. I guess I just got people coming to the kitchen.
Amazing. That's amazing. Because it is. Because when I think about your stuff, and you guys, by the way, you have to jump in. Give them the Instagram if they're.
So my Instagram is at RYCA_artist.
Yeah.
That's probably like the most up to date because I don't know if I'm the only one guilty of it, but I don't update my website anymore. But my website, which is www. That's old school.
Yeah, that's old
presenting
school
it
for
like
real.
that. So it's ryca.net, or you can type in my real Irish long name, which is Ryan RYAN. Callanam CALLANAN.com. They both take you to the same website, and it's kind of you'll see the
You said
website.
to fuck you up, man.
The website's disjointed, so both lead you to the same rabbit hole, but there's two sides to the website, a black and a white side, and they have slightly different works, but some of it cross over because I call it self-collaborating, which is quite weird, but because I've got two personas in my art now, I'm trying to make distinctions between them, but I fail almost all the time.
Why?
Because I just forget. And like I make stuff, or I try and make stuff under one, like under my real name. I coin in a sort of art genre phrase that I've been making certain works with, which I call Poptorian, which is a Victorian aesthetic.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
That's
so
fire.
my glass pieces, my, you know, the more beautifully made stuff that's high end, you know, that is more Ryan, and then
Gotcha.
the more pure pop culture, you know, movie reference stuff is Ryca. So this is a Ryca.
Yeah,
piece.
for those of you that ain't watching, there's a Buddha, Biggie Smalls Buddha that's on the table. You have to go on YouTube to check it out.
It's called Buddha Smalls.
Buddha Smalls, get the fuck out of here. Your pop culture, it does go across the board. And one thing I like, you mentioned about the DJ sampling culture. You are essentially taking samples of things, then regurgitating, you know, Rycifying it, and then throwing it back out there. I do love that. And it's an interesting medium, even this, you know, the kind of Buddha Smalls. And, you know, it's just such an interesting perspective. It's like, how did you come up with these things?
Well, sometimes like a lot of it is being a fan of like, I don't know whether I'm second or third generation like street urban artist, whatever that is. I don't consider myself any of those things.
I think it's third.
Third wave, yeah. So I'm almost, in a sense, the Biggie Smalls wave of the hip hop. You know, like
MTV bass generation.
yeah. He's not second gen, is he? He's like, is he second gen or is he third
I know,
wave? I
it's
don't know.
complicated because it
There's
is
levels.
technically late 90s, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then that was a different wave. But you grew up through that, so technically you would be the third wave,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, because I wasn't actively making work in the second wave.
No,
So, yeah.
no. You was just taking it all in like a sponge.
But the point of this was I like to, when I get into stuff, the reason I have 5,000 vinyl records is because I'm fanatical. I have, you know, a toy collection that's ridiculous because I get into stuff, and I'm just one of those people that, like, if I'm into something, I know stuff about it. I just sort of absorb the canon of Star Wars. Like, I know a lot of shit about Star Wars that no one ever needs to know, and I don't need to know it, and I can't. You can't. There's no dump bin in your brain to go and dump the files off. Yeah. Are you sure you want to empty it? Yeah. I'm fucking sure I want to empty it, but it's there, and it's quite funny. And it's sort of I learnt to embrace that and use that sort of department, but mix it with comedy. So I always thought like Banksy being the genius of inventing a formula. It's almost like a really simple algebra equation. It's like pop culture, add humour equals, and most of his most successful things that I like just are that simple. Yeah. So I was like,
with a hint of irony and a bit of kind of
it could be. Some of them are more complex. Like there's but the comedy could be irony.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so it's like
politics is irony as well.
So that's what I was saying. Like it's just like A plus B equals X, and sometimes they're I don't know. I just think he's like the master of that little quick easy piece of algebra.
Yeah, and you know what? What I love about it the most is the market is really small, but he maxed it out to the point that it became you couldn't not notice it.
No,
it was just bang. It's like explode. Like I got a lot of time for the geese. I think I have all different walks of graph life and street culture, street art come through, and it's that Marmite effect. Like no matter what your opinion is of him, he comes up in conversation very frequently. And I think there's a lot to be said about like his contribution in the long term. It will be looked at as wow, like there is a leniency.
Change in the conversation.
Change in the conversation. There's a leniency.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying that's entirely Banksy. I think there's a filter of people that are going into the world now, into the industry of whatever, whether it's BTP or I'm not too sure about that, but people that just accept that they grew up on graph.
Yeah, I mean like, and sort of when you get into even the level I'm at, I don't know what level that is. It's probably like. If you think of street art in another metaphorical sense as a pyramid, not that it's a pyramid scheme, but Banksy's probably the golden pinnacle of that pyramid.
The commercial pinnacle.
And then there's levels to it, and there's layers, and then there's interjecting undiscovered tombs as well.
Those are the best bits.
Which is, I still think not everything's been done in this.
That's right. That's scenes for you though, isn't it? Because what happens is like when you open the cookie jar to like all these different, like you say, different styles and I think that's where you come in. It's you don't proclaim to be that, but because your stuff is taking pop cultural references and twisting it up in a particular way that is quite punk. It's quite fuck you. I'm doing this with this. How'd you like that?
Yeah,
that has the same.
That's exactly the my sort of. MO, I guess, with a smiley face.
Yeah.
That I don't claim to.
Show a smiley face instead of it. Yeah.
That's a version of it, but that is like the from UK hardcore, like hardcore will never die.
Of course.
I sort of when I got into drum and bass, and I took a back step and sort of done my own history lessons on where does drum and bass come from, and then I realised, like when I was into garage, why that's just an offshoot genre. And that did its own thing, and that was something, And then there's jungle, and then you're taking these like really crazy paved steps backwards into how it's. I don't know. I just think it's a beautiful thing when you step back through UK dance music.
Love it,
and how uncontrived that thing was, and all of the offshoots of it, like the UK hip hop thing, and how that's got its own flavour and grime, where that comes from, and now it's interesting, like how you see, like everyone now is appreciating the flower, but it's its seeds were sown years ago.
Did go on, cuz you said it. That's fire.
But they were back there, and I genuinely wasn't into that first bit of grime. But I remember, like I've got records in my garage selection that I'm like, this is when
that's the transition point.
Yeah, like Harry Lime, and Even So Solid did a track called Dilemma, and that's fucking. Like bass music, like it's dubstep. It's that moment of like, whoa.
You're so fucking right. Like, what is the tipping point? of people's attention? Is it environment? Like, is it social? Is it like something? What makes popular culture suddenly flip into popularity?
I think it's the same with art. It's the old guard. Eventually, the old dies. So the old guard is replaced by new blood. So I know from some of my dealings with the music industry in the label sense, higher up in A&R and stuff. I've got friends in that who are fans of mine, but they're now in these jobs, and so that old guard there's a transition. These people are now our age, or they're into this. So that's a really good thing, and I wish I'd have known that as a youngster. That shit, man, it's about the time, and it's the same with politics. Like the old guard will die. It's harder in politics because there's an Etonian school of thought that doesn't really shift very much.
It's like you can put a nice new engine in the old car. Doesn't necessarily mean the old car's going to be able to take into it too well. You know.
With that metaphor in mind, we've now got electric cars. So it's like there is something. There is a shift. There is something new. There is a change coming. Like there is a. I think it's interesting because. Again, like referring to some of the other ones, your other podcasts, some of these people are dealing with big corporates now, and the creative directors of those are different to what they were 15, 20 years ago.
That's what I mean, you see. Who was I talking to the other day? I saw that, I'm going to say this again because people probably heard it, but it matches exactly what we're talking about. The whole kind of Heinz Ketchup. The ketchup now has Ed Sheeran on it, and it's almost like that in it as an idea is like, what? Heinz doing a ketchup that's just changed its name to Ed Sheeran,
What? Is that a thing?
I don't think I've got one. But yeah, it's a real thing. They've changed it, and it's just a tomato with the shape and the face of Ed Sheeran. That's because Ed Sheeran fans have now infiltrated the PR world of Heinz. It's as simple as that.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. I think, like you say, there's a trickle system where it's like, I think popular culture it starts at an early age, and then the old guard disappears, the new people come in. It's cool to be into Banksy, so why not check out Shock One? Why not check out Ryca? Because these people, and like you say, when we first started, had we known that if we stuck to our guns through our whole creative process and just didn't stop, don't fall at the first hurdle, get back up, carry on. All the cream rise to the top, and they all follow suit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's it. It's I think that's like the one thing I always say to like people who are like youngsters who want a tip. It's just like, just find something and stick with it. Like you've got to do your like 10,000 hours, or you've got to do your 10 years. It's the same thing. It's like there's something in a decade of perseverance.
There is, yes, absolutely.
That solidifies it to yourself. I think like you've really got to be. If you don't stick to your guns for a decade, then was you really into it?
That's right. And let's be honest, like the best projects are always ones that come to fruition after maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you have this like sweet spot where it's like, hey, look, I've just created these things and it's gone viral, or it's had a thing, something's happened.
Yeah.
It's gone up a level. It takes time.
It takes time, and the other thing is like, even when something goes viral, I'm like, if you could pick, for me, if I could pick and choose what of my work went viral, and someone said, of all the stuff you've made, only 3 things will ever go viral, my choice is not going to be the things that went viral.
So true.
Because
so true,
that's out of your hands, and there's a beautiful thing of like the double-edged sword of social media, I guess.
You become that dude that does that thing, and you're just like, no, but I like this thing. you know, I'm that guy.
So that as a thing, it's like some people know me as the smiley face guy, as a sort of like, oh, there's a drippy, I get tagged in drippy smiley face things on Instagram, saying, oh, have you, someone's ripped you off. I was like, mate, I don't own this, and like.
So
more,
hard,
more,
isn't it?
More power to whoever's doing their own drippy, fucking messy smiley, man. Like, it's all good. Like, this is what it's about. Hardcore will never die. It only multiplies. Yeah. They're thinking, like, I don't know whether they want to see beef all the time, or, because I think music has got a lot to blame for artists going and locking horns.
That's right. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I see those like the smiley face. It's a calling card very much in the same like when I think of when I think of Banksy, I think of the monkey. You know, the gorilla with the bat.
One day I'll be in charge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, it's a kind of it's brand face.
But for me, I like that on a Planet of the Apes level because he didn't invent the monkey wearing a sandwich board.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or in a sense, he did. His version is his invention, but that is a Planet of the Apes joke for me. And it's a beautiful thing that he made it into a stencil.
Yeah, the levels of thought in that.
But would that exist without Planet of the Apes? Like he must be aware of Planet of the Apes,
of course. So yeah, it was totally with intention.
Yeah,
completely.
That's why I think most of his like portfolio is fucking genius because it's like, shit, man. This is he's like one of try and compare him to a musician. He's on a level of like Prince or something. Like never is shit. It's always consistently good.
And you know what you're getting on the tin as well. You know what you're getting.
And he's morphing and stuff. And I look at all my favourite artists throughout like art history. I've been sort of able to do that. It's like bangers on bangers.
Yeah. Just know what you're good at and keep doing it.
Yeah, or being able to change and bang it again. And that's one of my like personal objectives. Is like I'm not just going to be the guy who makes a smiley face in one way. I've set myself a thing now called acid everything, which is how do you shoehorn a smiley face into everything. But I didn't really invent that. You could argue that Banksy did Happy Chopper. He did a smiling copper. And
totally.
a Grin Reaper. But then I know that the Grin Reaper comes from an 80s tabloid.
Yeah.
For ecstasy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like.
Do you think it's the context in which you put it in? Like, for instance, the smiley face. Yeah, okay, stick with that. It is so. It's a reference to a 90s culture, in my mind, but when you put it in the context of like a Biggie Smalls or a Teenage Mutant Hero Turtle, it's like this shit is like you put it in the same playing field as that. It changes the whole attitude of the face.
Yeah. But that's we go back to like a DJ's record bag. A good DJ can mix an old funk record with a fast track that was made yesterday.
Bro, like Shy Effects, what's that? He used to do like jungle versions of. Do you remember that back in the day?
Yeah, I mean,
shit.
like this is the thing when I realise I have to step away because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing really on that level. And in order, the people I respected when I got in, like when I sort of studied jungle and drum and bass and like sort of thought about what they're doing, all the best people in those scenes are producers. And I'm buying their records and then I'm going to watch them and they don't play their own records. That was a bit of a mindfuck for me.
I see what you're saying.
Because like that's weird. Like most people like it's different. Like like I don't go if I went and see Shy FX like back in the day. He just didn't realise he didn't play an hour and a half of his own music. Yeah, he might sneak a few in because the crowd are just going to go mental when he drops that.
That is such a really good point. Like from a regular punter that wants to experience an artist, why don't? I mean, I'm sure they do more now. I mean,
I think if you go and see the more modern megastar DJs, they do it. But I work with Fatboy Slim a lot, and his set really doesn't include much of like his sort of, his own bangers. Like,
do you ever turn on to him? Do you ever say to him, "Listen, what's going on?"
Yeah, I'm like, why just tease right here, right now? Why not just bang it out? And he's like, everyone's heard that. Like 50, like it's something else, and it's refreshing because they become just like little tiny weapons that he can sneak in there. They're these like little daggers. The
best shit, bro.
Yeah, so like
weapons is it.
In a way, right? Rather
Ammo.
than like pull out the fucking sword, and everyone's like, whoa, look at the sword. He's just like, no, they're
That's great.
And then everyone's like, oh my god. And
cold.
I mean, I did the UK tour with him, and the first day I'd never heard this set he was going to play, and there's a part in it where he gets everyone to sit on the fucking floor in the arena. The floor's shit in an arena of that size with that many people. So they're sitting in beer mud. But they sat down. Like, give or take, a few people can probably sit down, and then the fucking place is quiet. And I was, after the show, I was like, what is that? Like, you're a god. For those moments, you're a messiah.
He's in complete control.
Like,
what did you do with him in there?
I was doing live art, so I was doing like smiley T-shirts. They were pre-printed white T-shirts with a yellow splodge, and then I was just doing the faces and names. And I had a booth in the main arena of all the gigs, and end up, I think the number now is like over 500 tees.
What, you nailed 500?
Not in one gig, but over the tour. Right? And
Wow,
you know, some people wanting dedication, some people just go, well, like, I'll do whatever you want. So yeah, and that's the thing. Like, for me, I'm like, this isn't hardcore music. This is like not even big beat anymore. This is something else. This is like that, but the essence of where this all stems from is still kept alive.
100%.
And 500 different incarnations of him, with no preconceived like thing of, oh, they're just gonna happen. They're gonna manifest themselves, and a reaction to the music. And it was quite good. It was like an experiment, and it's fucking interesting, man. To sort of see the people, not all wasters as well, not all like totally out of it.
Yeah, you know, I think there's an age gender there that kind of, like you say, they'll hark back to the more drum and bass breakbeat rave days, but they're more in tune with nostalgia and have an age where they can like take their kids to it as well. You know what I mean?
I did multiple sets of dad and daughter T-shirts.
Genius.
You know, mum, dad,
dude, you
son, daughter.
cleaned the fuck up, bro.
And that was a pretty nuts to see, like, the whole family come and experience this guy who's transcended
it's mad.
the years and reinvented himself.
It's mad, and more power to him. That's fucking great. Who else you worked with?
I've done stuff with like Goldie and Metalheads.
Nice.
I'm trying to think. I've done. I'm doing something with like the Mr. Nice brand at the moment. Yeah. I've done stuff for the UK government. Weirdly enough, like back in the day, I did like a wear a condom campaign. I wasn't like an artist as such. I was more the executioner of an art idea.
So how long have you not been? Have you been an artist?
I have been an artist for 13 years now, actively
brilliant.
When I first put my first, real signed artwork out there, that was 13 years ago.
And how well was that received for those that? Was it a Sahara of silence, or was there a couple of like bigger things to make impact?
So it was. My art career launched in 45 minutes, so there was no like forums for art at the time, 2006. Not that I knew of, but where I was looking at art and buying a few pieces was eBay. So I launched my art career on eBay. With my first poster was a burqa wearing Mona Lisa, and it's an anagram. Honor Islam is Mona Lisa. So that's my first piece, and it's got like a tear dripping paint. Open to interpretation, street art cliche of a drip, and it's simple as that. It's like two colours.
Did it go clear when you put it out? Did you go clear with it, or did it not sell? What was the?
No, 45 minutes. So I sold one.
Damn. Fuck.
From not existing in art to bang, first sale. It was something like 50 quid. But I was like, shit.
It's got some mileage. Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you sell a piece of artwork, I think you're an artist. If you only ever sell one thing...
100%. 100%.
Not that selling validates you as an artist, because you can make art and never sell anything while you're alive. It's just that thing of like using technology at that time and going, fuck, I don't know what that's about. Like, they don't know me. They've just bought something. And I only did 10 of like that first colourway, and then I did another 10. Like they sold, and it ended up doing 100. Wow. Because 10 different colourways, and they never slowed down. And I was like, shit, what's my next image? Because I don't have a portfolio. I'm just sort of making this up as I go along.
That's the scariest shit, isn't it?
Yeah, because then I'm like, oh, fuck, now I need to start going, right, I need to come up with ideas. But it wasn't like a fear thing. I was like, I've got a lot of ideas, and a lot of the stuff that I like in this scene and this movement, I think I can have a go. You know, so I was like, I just used that sort of typical stencil look because that was the
flavour of the time.
that was the flavour. That was the thing of like those, you know, the mid 2000s. It was like if you make a stencil piece, you're going to be a chance of selling it.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy called Elis who's now a friend of mine, and he made a Star Wars image of Chewbacca getting a buzz cut, and that was like, fuck, art can have Star Wars in it. Yeah. That's completely like, it blew my mind. But also, rather than me go, well, I can't do Star Wars art, I was like, oh right, okay, someone just blew the fucking doors off of my.
So we went from like, you know, base level street art, you know, your typical kind of what's it called, your typical kind of stencil, and then it moved on to, okay, well, the concept feels like it really took shape once you had those pop cultural references, didn't it?
Yeah, because like I said about the formula earlier, I was just like, oh shit, that, you know, that Chewbacca piece is essentially the same thing as the girl with the balloon.
Yeah.
Like if you look at it on a level, and I was like, okay, I like Star Wars. I'm going to do a couple of Star Warsy images because I fucking want these myself. I want them to exist. They don't exist. So
that's beautifully put as well, by the way.
Yeah. So I was, my next image was the Reservoir Troopers.
Yeah.
And that took a long time to assemble because this is before like Instagram and really good like Google searching. So I used to go through Flickr and look for convention pictures of people in cosplay to get all the helmet tilt shifts right.
Perfect.
Because I was, and there's also like an intentional joke in that image where the clone troopers are the background guys and the front guys are the original trilogy. So they're sort of like you can go back there.
Yeah. You're not the bona fides. I get you.
You haven't done your 10 years.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Get the fuck back. But yeah, it was like, so it was the joke of you know, because they're all coloured, and I was like, well, rather than Mr. White, Mr. Blonde, whatever, they're all Mr. White helmet. And that was the thing, because there's been so many bootleg versions of that image that I've done.
Yeah.
And I still get a message every couple of months saying, "Oh, have you seen this?
Found one." Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, someone's ripped you off. I was like, they didn't really rip me off. Like, I don't look at it like that. I'm not really precious because I'm like, no, man,
bro.
they just made their own shit carrot soup.
People say this all the time, bro. When it comes to beatboxing, people still tag me in, and I'm just like, bro, art is love. You know, it's you know, give it away. It's not gonna go anywhere if you're not submissive to it. It's the way it is. And so much is out there now. It's just, you can't even keep up with it. I feel for Prince, man. Hey, well, Prince's sister, like chasing all this kind of royalty-based stuff, trying to stop people from using these songs is like, it's impossible task. You can't stop people.
And it's weird when an artist like who had so much control and like his vision, his sister probably still doesn't really understand his whole vision. Of what his art was about. Do you think anybody? Do you think? I mean, podcasts are great for this, but do you think people really get a real, true understanding of an artist's vision by their output? Because not really, because the output is only the shit you've released. That's right. And like we know with Prince, his archive is big. Like there's a whole film I heard that Kevin Smith made. What? There's a whole fucking feature film that he had made, and it's just on the shelf. But this is also what I hate about. Well, a good artist dying is bad. I hate that. Yeah. You just wish they were around forever. Yeah. But it's also who takes control of their estate. Then, you know, like look how many albums we had since he's died. Yeah. There's already like another one where we know he wrote songs for other people. Yeah. We don't need to hear his demos necessarily. Like I don't know what that's about. It's like you're taking just little fucking layers of the shellac off every single time you do this. The mystique is slowly. It's true. Okay, talking of this. Okay, let's move on to this. What's your process in creation? I mean, looking at this. I mean, like, do you have like by the way, at this point, in no way am I trying to make you
give away any of your trade secrets or secret recipes, okay? But I look at the different mediums in which you work, and there is no there is no boundaries. Like I got you've given me stuff where I'm just like, wow, bro, like this gotta cost some money. Like even the one-off paintings and like just like crazy. This is crazy money, like right. So how do you make this? How do you put this into production?
So the ones that end up being sold like this is part of an edition. There's only 9 of each colour in this size.
Right.
That is cast in a solid resin, painted, distressed by me.
This is the Biggie Smalls Buddha, by the way, if you're not watching.
The original sculpt. Sometimes I sculpt. Other times I get a sculptor to help me out.
Call the shot,
and I brief it and get just more productive using this guy. His name's Richard Martin. Like, you should check him out as well.
Hold tight, Richard Martin, all day.
He's fucking sick. I'm doing a lot with him and a lot more with him. Hopefully there's something in the pipeline that we're going to be doing together as both of us, rather than him just working for me
that's
under
fire.
brief.
Okay.
So, he executed, the point of it is he executed this Biggie to my brief, which is like, I spec'd him out. I was like, he needs to have a fat blunt instead of like the oyster. That's a cash bag opening. He's sitting on money. He's got the fucking, the smoking jacket robe. He's got the double Jesus piece.
So sick.
But he's got his Versace shades on and his peak hat, like his granddad cap, or I'd call it. And then the caricature level to it. Like, I don't want it to look like Biggie Small in cosplay. He needs to be cartooned.
Yeah, totally. And it does look cartoons. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, so I'd say that's got like probably a 40 to 50% cartoon filter applied to it. Because that's what it needs to be. Like, it's ridiculous in its... When you see it written down, that's when you realise this is ridiculous, right? So if you then try to execute that for real looking, it would lose... I believe it would lose something in its artistic presentation.
It's so true.
Because it's like, nah, man, that shit's whack. Like, why does Biggie look like a trick? Where is that? You're sold because it's all a... Yeah.
It's character.
And this stems from he's the rap god.
Yeah.
For me, like, as well, probably lyricist wise, Biggie was the...
It speaks volumes. It's got layers. I mean, it completely makes sense. And again, just referencing like the new current state of pop culture and the subliminal messages that have to be, that I feel make for the best pop culture. Like, blatantly, this has all of that.
And it's like, people like bash modern rap, mumble rap, auto-tune, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is.
I'm like, man, it just means you're fucking old guard now.
Yeah,
like,
totally. I'm just not in it.
This isn't for you. Like, not all of this has to be for you. Yeah. And it's, whether you like it or not, and there's a lot of hate for it because it's like the old guard go, wow, this is shit. It's not as good as like the stuff
it's
we
bullshit.
had.
I know. I'm not. I must admit, and I've said this on podcasts before. I'm not the biggest fan of too much auto-tune, simply because, like, in terms of performance value,
you can blame Cher for that as well.
Yeah, blame Cher, blame T-Pain. The fucking works.
No, but Cher did it like...
Yeah, fucking...
I believe in love. It's like, okay.
It's such a well-trained machine, and, Zapp and Roger back in the day, like, and, I get it, like, but I miss harmonies, and I miss shit that...
or multi-layered, like... There's nothing wrong with a multi-layered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even
track.
that.
Like, I know that's like kind of a cool thing about going to see live music when people go, "Oh, it doesn't sound like the record." It's like, because there's 5 fucking vocal tracks on it.
Yeah. Come on.
Understand? There's a reason that there's a DJ playing most of the track behind it, and this guy's the vocal, like the a cappella part. Even like when you go and see like a lot of rap shows, that's in the background because.
It has to be.
It has to be, and then they've always got their like sideman who's filling in because no one can fucking really do that with the high intensity of a stage show. Like, and a lot of people I don't think appreciate it because if they've never tried to do that, I mean, I always say to people, if you didn't appreciate the live show, next time you do karaoke, try dancing.
Yeah, for real.
And do the karaoke. You sound like shit. You can't dance. Yeah, and the whole thing's embarrassing.
Yeah, Stormzy did a really good job of like articulating a lot of that on Glastonbury. I don't know whether you saw the show that he put on it.
Yeah, that was.
I think he nailed a lot.
I think the Sweet Like Chocolate Boy moment, man.
It was crazy.
Like,
yeah.
I'm just like, I mean, I love how he's using his platform for political, calling out.
He's really holding it now. Do you fear the old guard? Do you fear the idea of like maybe one day, hypothetically, of course, you'd fall in line with the old guard? Does that fear you? I mean, it fears me. I would hate that.
This episode continues over on your favourite podcast platform. Don't forget to subscribe to us.